Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Gold Hoops and God podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Guerra. I'm very excited today for my special guest, Alex Drake. Alex and I met through a mutual friend. Shout out Andrea Hightower, Bay Area folks, super awesome. Whoop whoop, the Yay area. Um, Alex has an amazing tarot channel on Instagram. Her handle is Grateful Drake 222. Check her out. She does daily card pulls, energy check-ins, readings, a lot of awesome stuff. So if you're into tarot or curious about tarot, go check out her channel. She is going to be doing a little card pull for us at the end. So that's very exciting too. All right. So welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh my gosh, it's good to have you. It's very exciting.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is great. So let's see. So this season of the podcast, I'm really excited to be doing interview style and kind of talking to different people, different Latinas, and really unpacking the journey. So thinking about culture, what culture means, and also thinking about religion, spirituality too, because I think all of us have had such varied experiences. So I think it's important for folks to know, for folks to know they're not alone, for folks who might not be part of the Latinx community to learn about, our different stories. So I'm excited to talk with you. Yeah. So Alex is Hondureña, another Central American. As many of you know, I've mentioned this before in the podcast. I am part Guatemalan, part Ecuadorian, so Central Americans in the house. Yeah. So Alex, do you want to share a little bit about being Hondureña, or kind of how you understand your culture specifically, any, kind of traditions or music or things like that that you hold on to? I think that would be really cool to learn about.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Honduras. I was adopted as a baby. So I grew up in a white American family. So my understanding and the way that I've grown up has been maybe, well, obviously not the traditional
Different, yeah.
Hondureña woman. Um, so my adoptive mom spoke fluent Spanish. So from the time that I was a little girl, I was always heard Spanish. She always did her best to speak to me in Spanish, and I fought it all the time. I didn't understand the gravity of like what it meant to be able to understand and speak the language until, of course, as I grew up, and I'm like behind a little bit, but. She had me in Spanish classes on Sundays. I had a choice between going to church or Spanish classes. I chose Spanish classes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's fascinating. Wow.
yeah. So I think it would have been interesting to see if I had chosen church, because she didn't even go to church. I'm not sure what her logic was there. But anyway,
Interesting.
she was trying to implement something. But so I understand a lot of Spanish, and as far as my culture and like how that's expressed on a daily basis is mainly like I just speak as much Spanish as I can to my kids.
I love it.
I always kind of joke, but it's kind of true. Like I know a million words, but I just have trouble putting them together. So I can hear Spanish,
the knowledge is there,
understand a lot of the context, but when it comes time to speak in past tense or future tense, I'm like, so eventually I'm going to have to travel somewhere and just be in it to actually learn it. But I don't really cook the food. I enjoy the food. Sundays are definitely something that I've kind of incorporated as I've gotten older, with playing music in the mornings and Sundays being a day for family and cleaning and things like that. And it's funny that my girls have really taken on the Latina heritage culture. And I feel like I barely gave it to them, but I feel like my oldest really, like, once I started talking about it, she like
embraced it like all the way. Oh, good. Wow.
Like more than what I thought. She'll say, Mom, I was at work today and, I heard this couple there speaking and I understood everything. And I don't even like really emphasize the language to her too much, other than what I, just try and speak to her.
Yeah.
And so I love that it's just become kind of a natural thing for my oldest.
Gravitating towards,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
That's
my youngest too.
incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible. So
we do
Alex
a
has 2 daughters, and yeah, this
yeah,
is great.
we do a word
Oh.
a week. I put a word
Oh,
on the
that's so
board.
cute.
I
That's
put a
really
word.
cute.
So
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
So, Alex, I want to backtrack for 1 second. I'm super curious. When your family was like, okay, Sundays you can do either church or Spanish classes. I'm curious, do you know what kind of church, like what denomination it would have been?
It probably would have been a Unitarian church
Really?
because that's
Interesting.
what we,
Wow.
yeah, that's what we ended up doing because my mom passed away. And so
Oh.
when my mom was on her deathbed, she basically said to my aunt, the girls need to go to church. But she
Mm.
told her like a
Wow.
Unitarian church would be okay because
That's
we don't have a denomination. So it probably would have been that.
wow,
Yeah.
fascinating. That's super fascinating. I was curious. I was like, was it Catholic? Was it Baptist?
Yeah.
Right?
But
Because
I know
I do think
my
that
birth
matters, right? Like,
yeah, but I know
yeah.
my birth family was Catholic.
Mm.
So, and my birth name was Nazareth. So I love that. I definitely
Wow.
take that to
That's
heart and
beautiful. Yeah.
feel like even though I haven't grown up with that religion, I feel like very close to Mother Mary. And
Oh, okay.
so, you know,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I have said this so many times, and I will write about this too. Latinas, Latinos, religion and culture are so tied together. It's very hard to take them apart. Even if someone is not religious, quote unquote, even if someone is not attending church, or necessarily a believer, it's almost like in the water, right?
yeah.
Like these traditions of Virgen de Guadalupe, etc., like all of that, which is predominantly Catholic, mostly, right? Devotion to Mary, the saints, that kind of thing. It's like in the air, right? The processions for Easter week, right? All that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It makes sense that you still like have a knowledge about it, right?
Yeah.
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 Very cool. Amazing. Um, Thank you. That's super cool. So, connected to culture, and you kind of touched upon this, is language, right?
Mm,
And for many US Latinx people,
yeah.
Spanish is a little bit of a sore subject, right?
Yeah.
For many, many reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I was told, for example, like my aunts and uncles, right? My aunts and uncles used to get basically beaten in school or hit, by the teachers, what have you, here in LA for speaking Spanish, right? On my mom's side, yeah, on my mom's side, my grandparents are from Guatemala,
Uh-huh.
right? And so they spoke Spanish at home.
Yeah.
My aunts and uncles were obviously like young kids trying to like learn English. They're in a new country, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so historically, there's been a lot of pushback, and this is why so many families, they, in terms of like assimilation,
Mm-hmm.
they decide, right, like, okay, we're not speaking Spanish, we're not passing on Spanish, we're not talking Spanish, nothing about Spanish,
Yeah.
because we want our children to feel
Mm-hmm.
more accepted, more American, don't speak with an accent, right? And it's fascinating. Like, this may sound odd, so listeners, bear with me. When I speak Spanish, it's very fluid, right? When I
Mm-hmm.
speak English, people don't necessarily know that I speak Spanish,
Uh-huh.
right? So the whole right, the whole perception of like accents, blah blah blah, that's a whole
Right,
thing.
right, right.
It's very
Right.
bizarre. But anyway, so like I get it, right? Like I get it. I will say, like, I'm grateful that I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and she basically taught me Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I chose, for example, yeah, choices, right? In high school, we had either French or Spanish, and I chose Spanish because I was like, you know what? This is the language that my family speaks.
Yeah.
So I would like to be fluent. I want to read Spanish. I want to speak Spanish. I want to know more about it, right?
Yeah.
And then, right, and even in college, like I ended up being a Spanish major. Anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
so it's very interesting because I definitely know people that have had the opposite experience that have really struggled with Spanish. And this too, you know, Latin America is a very diverse country. The emphasis on Spanish kind of like there's an erasure of all the indigenous languages.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of languages that are Latin American, Caribbean in origin.
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese is also part. The
Yeah.
Brazilians speak Portuguese, right? So it's, in other words, my point is like it's not all about Spanish, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, I feel you. Definitely. It's complicated. It is
Hmm.
complicated. So I'd be curious to hear more as far as like that evolution, right? Like how your relationship with the language has changed or
Yeah.
shifted, or how, where basically like where you're at
Yeah.
today.
Well, growing up, I felt more black than I did white
Mm-hmm.
or Latina. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like white people, I didn't look white. I felt like in the Latin community, I was put down a lot for not speaking
Oh,
Spanish. I felt,
interesting. Yeah.
I didn't eat the food. I couldn't make the food. I couldn't speak the
Mm.
language. And so I felt actually most comfortable in Black communities as
Wow.
growing up.
Yeah.
As I became late 20s and into my 30s, I started embracing the language and the culture and the music. But there was a lot of shame around it. It was very much
Mm.
like I felt like I shouldn't be doing
Oh,
that. I felt like it wasn't right.
really?
Yeah, I felt like, who am I
It's an
to
imposter
like I'm
syndrome a
acting
little
like
bit.
I'm Latina when my whole life I've not acted Latina, and
Interesting.
I've leaned more into the Black community. So who am I to? And my family's white. Who am I to,
Mm.
to incorporate these things? But
Wow.
as I evolved, I was like, "F this,
It is my culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
F
Exactly.
this." Like this is like my roots are. I was
Mm-hmm.
born there. Like
Literally.
I need to. It's
Yeah.
okay, girl. It's okay. And so as I begun to do that, I really noticed, even like how I was talking about my daughters really
Yeah.
embraced it in a way that shocked me because I
Mm.
didn't think they were paying attention because for
Mm.
me it was such a burden. But for
Interesting.
them, they just, you know. So that's
Wow.
really been the evolution of it.
Amazing.
Now I do my best and
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
there's someone around me who I know speaks Spanish, I welcome they speak to me and it's okay if I sound funny. It is what it is. I'm learning.
Yeah.
So
We can practice, girl. We can practice.
yeah, yeah.
It's for
I would
real.
love it. I would love it.
That would be super dope. Amazing. Yeah, isn't it? Identity is so incredible and so complex. In my conversation with Belen Morales, we were talking about how the Latinx community, there is still, unfortunately, so much anti-blackness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Anti-indigeneity. And
Mm-hmm.
really, it's like everyone is so hung up on the boxes,
Yeah.
right? On check a box, like what am I? Are
Yeah.
you white? Are you black? Are you this? Are you that? Are you? And it's very frustrating, in terms of like feeling, and then it gets even more complicated in terms of like feeling accepted,
Mm-hmm.
feeling rejected by your community. Like like you said, like it also is a factor depending on where you grew up. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
someone lives in like rural Connecticut or
Yeah.
something, it's going to be different than growing up in Chicago,
Totally.
cities, right? It's
Right.
it's all unique.
Right.
So I appreciate that. I appreciate like what you've shared.
Yeah.
Um, if you feel comfortable, do you mind sharing a little bit more as far as like the experience of kind of gravitating more towards African American community?
Yeah. So white people, I felt like I felt like I had more. How do I say this? I felt like I naturally had soul.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. I just naturally felt more embraced by the Black
Hmm.
community. The friends of my Black friends, the parents of my Black friends, the mothers were always super
Welcoming.
warm.
Yeah.
I can't explain. And I know my mom used to look at me and my aunt and the family used to look at me like, how did this
What is
kid
she
get
doing?
like why are all her friends Black?
Hmm.
Um, so I can't really pinpoint why, other than the fact that I was welcomed and nurtured by the community more than
Yeah.
any other community. When I would try to express these things to my mom, she would
Hmm.
just basically like make me feel stupid for feeling that way. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do me then. And when she passed away, it
Hmm.
almost, this is gonna sound crazy, it was almost a relief because I could kind of be more
Hmm.
myself. Not that I didn't have a mom, but
Got
for the
chills.
aspect of
Yeah.
culture and being who I
Freedom to
am,
be yourself. Yeah.
I could be myself because my aunt wasn't like, she was not checked in at all, so I could be who I wanted to
Mm.
be.
Mm.
So yeah,
Wow.
I don't have like a clear, that's kind of my answer. It just was something that felt natural and comfortable for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and the Latin
Mm-hmm.
community looked at me like I was like didn't belong. So that was
That's
easy.
insane to me. I'm just like, how? Like, what? Like, that's
But
so crazy.
then I didn't speak Spanish. That was a big deal.
That was it. That was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the issue for them. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and it was mainly kids. You know, kids are
Oh, kids are
nervous.
terrible. Yeah.
So you know,
Kids are so mean. Kids are so mean.
the worst.
Terribly mean. The worst. Um, I'm curious, and please remind me, what city did you grow up in, or where did you grow up? Like, yeah.
I grew up in Sacramento, California.
Ah,
Yeah. I
okay.
grew up in a neighborhood that was it was like a new development that we lived
Mm.
in, but we were really close to like where the hood was. So all you had to do, yeah, and so all you had to do was just walk like a mile and a half, and
I love it.
you
That's
had
it.
your flavor.
We call that hood adjacent. Like,
So the
that's
school was
awesome.
very blended. The school was
Hey,
very blended.
that's awesome. That's super awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, looking back, it's kind of wild. Again, without planning it, right? I am grateful that for example, like my mom,
Hmm.
she she has friends of all backgrounds, right?
Hmm.
And so by example, she kind of taught me like your friend is your friend. People are
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
embrace everyone, whatever
Yeah.
color they are, whoever they are.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it's, to be honest, like her very best friend is African American,
Hmm.
and she never made like a big deal of right, right. It was never like a
Yeah.
thing. It was
Yeah.
like, this is my friend, period.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
amazing. And she is like an aunt to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this woman is like an
Yeah.
aunt to me. She moved to Atlanta a couple years ago, and so we were kind of bummed out because she's
Yeah.
out of state now. But anyway, um, yeah, let's see, her daughter is my age, so I grew up with her, here in LA and stuff. Amazing people. Yeah. So it's just, yeah, like it's so interesting, right?
Well, if you think
Race
about it,
and
like
culture and stuff.
slavery really wasn't that long ago. And so like,
Sure,
well,
yeah.
and so all
Very
of the
recent actually, yeah.
systems and the mindsets are still
Still there.
we're still unraveling them, you know?
Still there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that
Yeah.
about your background and stuff.
Hmm.
So, as I mentioned in the beginning, Alex has a very cool tarot channel, and I started watching her readings. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And as I mentioned, I got connected with Alex through a mutual friend. And so I'm fascinated. I would love to hear about your tarot journey, how you got into tarot, and really kind of like how you understand, let's see, spirituality, broadly speaking, belief, however we want to kind of like categorize it, right?
Yeah.
Faith, belief, spirit, all of those kind of like ethereal things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to hear. I would love to hear about how you got into tarot and kind of like
Cool.
how you envision all of this. Yeah.
Cool. So I've always loved or been drawn to connecting with the other side. You know, I used to watch
Mm.
Montel Williams. I was
Oh
like,
yes,
no, it's Kelly
yes.
Gordon. Montel Williams. He would have Sylvia Brown on there. So my mom passed away when I was 11. So that really
Mm.
piqued my interest and
The
my
catalyst for,
awareness
yeah.
for what else there could be. And so that's where it kind of where I got curious. I didn't really start using tarot and being consistent with it until I was married, and I went
Mm.
through a really terrible separation, as
Mm.
most marriages that don't work, it's not fun.
Tough, yeah. Yeah.
And so I really leaned into tarot. I had a deck and I was like, okay, let me use this thing.
Yeah.
And it was like boom, boom, boom. It was like right on, right on, right on. And I didn't
Wow.
even know the deck yet. I didn't even really know it, but I could tell just how the cards looked and felt.
Wow.
And so that was really the beginning of tarot. Led me into a whole spiritual opening
Mm. Yeah.
where I recognized that things were appearing in the physical world that were in my mind and in my heart,
Wow.
in my psyche. Um, and and so I started recognizing patterns during that time.
Mm.
I was being terrorized by my ex-husband,
Oh no.
terrorized by him.
That's horrible.
He was
I'm so
using
sorry.
drugs, and he was just being really, if you can think of what the devil energy, I felt like I was living with the devil.
Mm.
And so it was a very, very
That's
scary,
terrible. Yeah.
intense time. And so the cards made me feel like I wasn't alone. It felt
Mm.
like someone was trying to like pull me up.
Guide you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I felt, I was like, okay, spirit's real, energy's real. And
Mm.
so that helped me kind of even expand more on like how I feel about spirituality.
Mm.
And well, basically everything's energy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's energy. All solid things are actually a bunch of bouncing particles that look
Yep.
solid but aren't.
Yep.
And the brain is like a computer. And so it just, it's, the universe is so much more expansive than what we can
You give credit for.
comprehend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you get hung up with the tarot thinking it's like in a box, like some predictive tool only,
Mm.
it can be limiting. But if you can look at the tarot as like a guide, or as spirits trying to help lead you somewhere,
Yeah.
there's an expansiveness that happens with it. So anyway, the tarot helped me get through my separation and
Wow.
divorce. It
Wow.
helped me know that I was taking the right steps.
Mm.
It and it gave me something to feel passionate about again.
Mm.
You know, I didn't have a
Wow.
passion. I started
That's
uploading.
incredible.
Yeah, I started uploading
Wow.
readings on YouTube. I didn't know
Mm.
what I was doing at all. I would pull a
I feel
card.
you, girl.
I would open a book and I would
Yeah.
read the book. And there's
Wow.
like whole YouTube videos where I'm like reading out of the book because I don't know, but
That's
that's how I
okay.
learn.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
started inviting friends over from time to time, and I would give them live readings, and that thing would be so crazy, like spot on, like the things that would come out. And so I knew, I was like,
Wow.
okay,
Okay. Okay. It's real.
this is
It's
where
really
we're
real.
going. This is where we're going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, okay, so as I've mentioned before on the podcast, and personally, like I was raised Catholic and I still identify as Catholic. My degree is in theology, like,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, all those
Yeah.
things. And, right, tarot has been always fascinating to me. And I'll be honest, I actually like prayed about it, right? I prayed about it and I literally asked, I'm like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
is it okay? Do I have permission,
Yeah.
right, to look into this? And the response that I got was like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like it's fine as long
Yeah.
as you don't get into like the dark stuff because there is dark stuff, right?
Right.
Like people like anything. That's the point actually. Like anything can be misconstrued, misused, abused, etc. Any tool in this world, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it was basically like hang out with the angels,
Yeah.
hang out with the light, love
Yeah.
and light, and you're good, right? I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it's been it truly, like you said, like
Yeah.
it is wild. It is spot on in so many ways. Like I'm floored a lot of times when I listen to readings for like Aries or even Aquarius, which is my moon sign, and it's boom, 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 and it'll be like the letters L.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of
Yeah.
you has a. I almost flipped out the other day when it was like, oh, someone has a Dosh Hound. Hello, like I have two Dosh Hound
Yeah.
dogs. Like
Yeah.
it's wild, like how spot on it is. But
Yeah.
anyway, and it's one of those things like sure you can believe that it's a coincidence,
Yeah.
but for me I'm like come on, this
Yeah.
there is no coincidences, like it's too, it for me it's too spot on. And again, it's one of those things like a person can believe in miracles or not,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want to deny, like you don't see the signs, you don't see any, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like you kind of miss out. You know what I mean? Like to sort of like close off the
Yeah.
possibility to those kind of things,
Yeah.
you sort of miss out on something really magical and beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It truly is a very kind of sweet way that we can experience a part of God.
yeah,
Um, because the energy is moving through God or universe or
yeah.
whatever you think is making this all stick together.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
tarot is just
Mm-hmm.
kind of a reflection of that energy.
Mhm.
being expressed to us in a human way.
Yeah.
It's just moving through. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That is really, yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I had like asked about and stuff was books, right? Like I love books, I love reading, and you shared with me some of your like favorite authors, like Wayne Dyer, James Baldwin, Eckhart Tolle. Tell
Mhm.
me a little more, like what are your favorite books and how have they sort of impacted you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I took a class, an English class. It was an advanced English class, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, and it was on rhetoric.
Mm.
And it was around, all of the text was James Baldwin,
Oh
and
wow.
that totally shifted. Like it just it helped me reintegrate my passion for injustice and
Mm.
inequality. Oh
Mm.
God, his writing's so powerful.
It is. Yeah.
So that's one thing. However, so that era took me, I was already divorced. That era just helped me kind of really strengthen my perspective on like and the realities of like what we've done and
Mm.
how America has treated Black people. So that was one
Right.
thing. That was one era. Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, also Marianne Williamson, they're all,
Mm.
Deepak Chopra as well, all
Mhm,
helped me
mhm,
get
mhm.
through my separation and divorce because they're able to. Eckhart Tolle, in particular, wrote a book called The Power of Now, and
Mhm.
also A
I'm
New.
familiar. Yeah.
And those books he just articulates the most simple things in the most profound, beautiful ways
Mhm.
that make you realize like the power of like stillness.
Yeah. Being in the
Um,
moment. Mhm.
so simple.
Mhm.
His books are so simple but so profound,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a very practical. If you're someone who has trouble maybe with spirituality, he does use the word God in there a few times. But
Mhm.
if you're kind of curious about spirituality, he's someone who can really kind of explain some of these things in a very kind of practical, human
Sure.
way.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he makes it accessible, like these concepts that are kind of like a little
Mm-hmm.
challenging sometimes to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Wayne Dyer a lot. I
Yeah.
really for like
Yeah.
I love his approach. I love the way that he explains things. There was what was it? Oh yeah, there was a book that he wrote. I think it's called like "Excuses Be Gone" or
Yeah.
something, and that was
Yeah.
amazing. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, this
Yeah.
is so freaking awesome!"
Yeah.
Because it's true. Like honestly, sometimes we are our own worst enemy. We are in our own way,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's just like just do it.
Yeah.
Start off small,
Yeah.
but take action. Right? It was so good. It was definitely necessary for me to hear that, right? At that moment, I was like, yeah, I need to
Yeah.
do something, right? Like take action and not be so paralyzed, right? Paralyzed by fear, paralyzed by perfectionism. I really struggle with perfectionism. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was great. And then, yeah, Deepak Chopra is
Mhm.
well known. He's a really
Yeah.
incredible guru, basically.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I think it was like a 21-day meditation challenge that he
Oh
does every
yeah.
so often.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah. I think
And it was
is
so
it the
good.
one he did with Oprah?
Possibly,
Yeah, it was
yes,
like a
yes, yes,
collab.
yes. A collab, yeah. Yeah, it was great. He's great. So yeah, like books are amazing. Yeah. I love reading. I love books.
Mhm.
It's amazing how a book can really transform a
Yeah,
person, you
totally.
know. And I don't think it's an accident, right? Like that we come across certain books
Yeah,
at a certain time. Um, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
totally.
awesome. Yay. Very cool. Um, yes. It's so
Mhm.
funny. As we kind of like wrap up our
Yeah.
awesome conversation, yeah, I think it's so important. I know a lot of people are kind of working on this or trying to implement this in their own life. How all of us have like an inner child, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
how many of us, go through different things in childhood, but childhood obviously it's so formative, right? Our childhood experiences, good and bad, they
Mhm.
really shape us as a person.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious, like, what you would tell your younger self. Like,
Hmm.
what would, if you could go back in time
Yeah.
and give little Alex advice,
Yeah. Oh.
what would you say?
Yeah, well, I love this question because when I first heard it, I was like, well, everybody says and I just kept thinking of all these cookie cutter things,
Uh,
and for me, those things were not. You couldn't tell me
they were
nothing.
resonating. Yeah.
You couldn't tell me nothing. You could tell
I
me
can't
nothing.
tell me
I'd be like,
nothing.
I'm out anyways. I don't care. So I was trying to
You're
really
so
think
funny.
realistically,
Yeah.
like what would actually be a good tool to help me
Yeah.
get through because I was lost.
Oh.
And I just would say to find a great mentor
Mhm.
and latch onto them, or maybe I wouldn't say latch, but I would find a way to explain to myself that I just need one great adult that really sees me. And if
Mm.
I have that, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't
Yeah.
have that. I
Yeah.
just didn't have anyone that locked eyes with me
Mm.
and where I knew they were telling me the truth that I was awesome. I didn't know I was awesome. Nobody fucking told me that. No, nobody told me that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So that I would say for all children is really key. I think you can be missing a lot of different things in childhood, but if you have an adult who's like really believes
In your
in you,
corner. Yeah.
I think that's really, really, really key. And that is what I strive to be for my kids, no matter
Mm.
what they're doing.
Mm.
I vowed to no matter how much Amira is driving me crazy, and she's my older one. I I have to always forgive.
Mhm.
Period. I just have to always
Mm.
forgive. She has to
Yeah.
always know, both of them have to always know that they are the
Mom
most
is there.
important
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter what. No matter
Yeah.
how bad they mess up or how bad they hurt me or how bad they do it, I'll always be back. I might take a little time out.
Little break, little breaky break.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll be back and I'll be calm and I'll be a
Yeah.
space for them, and I just didn't
That's
have
amazing.
that. So that's what I would tell myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's so true. Like having an adult in your corner, I think that really makes all the difference. Yeah, I think back in terms, so I feel like a lot of my mentors and things were in school, like
Yeah.
my high school teachers or
Hmm.
college teachers and things like that, or mentors through different programs that, yeah, I felt like you said, like I felt like they
Hmm.
believed in me,
Yeah.
like, yes, you can finish the PhD. Yes, you can do this. Like,
Uh,
go for it. Like, no, you're not crazy, in this scenario, blah, blah, blah. Right.
right.
And it's so critical. Like it really does make a world of difference for a kid to know that they
Hmm.
will be okay. You know what I mean? Like that they're
Yeah.
supported in some way. So
Hmm.
I agree with you 1,000%. That is really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, like that's the hope, I think,
Hmm.
is for children to feel unconditional love.
Yeah.
To feel that unconditional love, ideally from their family, right? Like
Yeah.
ideally from their parents,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's kind of like if not them, who, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
where are they going to get
Yeah.
that support
Hmm.
and encouragement and love?
Yeah.
But I love what you said that you made a promise that you're like
Yeah.
I'm here for these girls no matter
Yeah.
what. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's so cool.
Mhm.
Yay.
Yeah, and Amira sure hasn't enraged me from time to time. And I'm like, I've had to really test that. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay.
A run for your money, friend. A run for your money. Oh
You
man.
know, what is it? Put your money where your mouth is.
Uh-huh. You said.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Spirit heard you. Spirit heard you
Yes.
when you made that
I know.
promise.
I know.
That is hilarious. I love it. Yeah. Alex has two daughters and they're hilarious. They are amazing and funny. I've gotten to know them virtually a little bit. And they're awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute. Very cool. Yay. So, friend, since you are the tarot master, I'm gonna ask you to kind of close us out
Yeah.
and share a little tarot wisdom
Okay.
as
Let's
we
do
finish
that.
up. Let's see. Let's see what's the word.
So, because I believe there's no actual thing as time, We use time here on earth to
Illusions.
help
Yeah.
us navigate, right, and to be humans. That anyone who's listening or watching, you just take a few deep breaths, find that space in your chest or wherever that space might be of calmness and peace. You can close your eyes. If you can't close your eyes, don't. Just find a place in your body that feels at peace.
Mm.
That way, no matter if you're in the past or the future or the present, you're adding to the energy of this current reading. I'm not sure. Okay. Let's pull 3 and see what the story is. Oh, shoot.
Oh.
Oh, I just pulled one.
I'll scream if we got a Queen of Swords. I will.
We don't. We don't.
Okay.
We do have some swords here. So this is what the cards look like. We have the Hermit
Oh,
reverse.
snap. Oh my
We have the
God.
King of Cups reverse. That's okay. We can weave this together in a beneficial way.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And then we have the 3 of Pentacles. Okay. So we have the Hermit here, who's ruled by Virgo. We are currently
Virgo
in Virgo
season.
season,
Yeah.
combined with the reverse King of Cups. So King of Cups doesn't have to be a male water sign in your life. Let's
Mm.
call this a very general reading and say that this King of Cups here has to do with emotional development and emotional fulfillment.
Mm.
So because he's reversed here, there next to the reverse Hermit, there's a situation that we possibly could be going through where our emotional self, our emotional bodies, our emotional development is being tested, and how deep are we able to go with that? The Hermit is about wisdom.
Mm.
So if we have a reverse Hermit with this emotional card, it means that we're doing work, or that it would benefit us to focus on the emotional work within ourselves. The last part out is awesome, the 3 of Pentacles, because it means that we are in a place of kind of, it feels a little unknown, it feels a little bit dark, it feels kind of confusing and unsure, but we're actually building something that's really crucial and key to our development. So the things that we're probably building are the things that precede the last card. So we're probably learning how to build and develop our sense of self-worth and our wisdom,
Mm.
and being able to identify awesome partners
Mm.
and bringing in awesome situations in our life. There's probably a lot of doubt with that, but we
Mm.
actually, even through the doubt and through the murkiness, there is a solid building process that's happening. So that's what I'd say about
Wow.
that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, not
What is this? Yeah. When anything pops up in reverse, I'm like, what's
I
happening?
know. I used to never read reversals. I used to keep my deck all upright
Oh,
because I,
yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of readers that won't take reversals. That's true.
yeah,
But sometimes it's a good thing, right? 'Cause it's
yeah,
like a cycle's ended, something's changed, like
yeah.
you've overcome something. So it's like,
It
all
adds
right.
it adds a different angle to it, so
Yeah.
it can be good.
It can be good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Thank you, Alex, for joining me today
Yeah.
on the podcast. Folks who are listening, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you follow Alex on Instagram. Her Instagram is Grateful Drake 222. And I am glad that everyone was able to be here. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.